Are you aware this video will be used for education and research? And do we have your permission to use this video?
Sure. Do I have permission to use it against? My name is John Lale Randolph. I got the Lale from my Aunt Winnie. You can look it up if you want to know what it means. I was born July the 24th, 1950, about 10 o'clock, but just a little after midnight, at the Lincoln Clinic, Lincoln Hospital, I guess it was called. My mother was Juanita McConnell Randolph. My dad was Glenn Randolph. They had gotten a letter before I was born, and mother couldn't have any more children. They had gotten a letter, said that I was going to be born. Would they like to have me? And of course they said yes. So, like I say, I was born a little after midnight. And I don't know how they got the information, but after they got through milking, the next morning they went to Lincoln and got me. And that's when all hell fell loose. I had one sister, and she's substantially older than I am. And of course, she was homemade and I was store-bought, so I was a little more special than she was. I really had another sister named Diane, and she was there more than she wasn't there, so I really had two older sisters, and I was pretty spoiled.
What was your sister's name?
Did we want to name names?
You can if you want
Glenita,
to.
my sister Glenita. But we had a good life. My sister had a different life to start with than I did. When I was born, we had a new house, all electric, had a bathroom in it, and a lot of people around here didn't have bathrooms back then. So that's why I say they had one life, and here's this different life. But anyway, had a good life. I always knew I was adopted. It was never a secret to me, but it was a secret to lots of people, as you well know. Didn't bother me. It's just the way it is. I knew my birth mother. I always knew. I had one of my sisters take me to see her one time, and I told her how I appreciated her for giving me the life that I had. So if anybody wants to know about that, that's good and well. But anyway, we had a good life around Cincinnati. And you remember things, but once you get a little older, you figure out that you're kin to everybody, one way or the other. Sometimes, with my situation, I was kin to more people than sometimes I cared to be. But we had a good life in the early years, and my mother, for whatever reason, I don't know when it started, but they always had, that was the Methodist Church in Cincinnati. When I was little, we went to the Presbyterian Church just about every other Sunday, and then the Methodist Church the next Sunday, except in the summertime and the cold winter, because it was the old Methodist Church just barely had walls, but in the summertime it had wasps. And I don't remember when that stopped, but eventually that just went away. And so the Methodist Church was mostly Presbyterians. But Mama had, when she started it, I don't know, she had It was called MYF, Methodist Youth Fellowship. And all the kids around here, of course, at that time the kids were a lot older than I was, and I didn't get to go. So when it come time to go, I would sit out on the porch and cry till she got out of sight, and then I'd go about my own business and make her feel guilty. But she did everything with the kids around here. I mean, we used to go on hikes all around here. Just, I don't know. I always had the impression this community, kids were a necessary evil. And everybody knows how I feel about that. But when the school ceased in '61 is when we went to Siloam. All the kids went to Siloam. And it just started going downhill from there, it seemed like. But if it hadn't been for my mother, I'm pretty sure that a lot of the kids wouldn't have had a lot of the things that they had in their younger lives. I started school in 1956 to Miss Marie Thomason. And at that time, they only had 6 grades. We had 2 teachers, Miss Marie, 1, 2, and 3. Can't remember who was before Miss Bean, but she had 4, 5, and 6. But anyway, had Miss Marie, and there was 3 of us started school that year. Lonnie Gilbreth, myself, and Linda Henderson. We went to school all 12 years together. We had another boy, Russell Strode, that came in and out at times. That's my pacemaker going off. Miss Marie Thomason had been there quite some time, and I always thought I couldn't stand her. I couldn't, But Mother told me one time I come home and told her, I was either 1st, 2nd, or 3rd grade, and said that I knew why Miss Marie was so gripey. She just needed a man. But finally got out of the 3rd grade and went in Mrs. Bean's class, and I just thought that was great, We had a lot of fun at Cincinnati, and I guess the last year at Cincinnati, they brought buses from Siloam and loaded us up at the end of school, and I just come to this the other day. I bet that was the last year the passenger trains ran. They took us to Siloam. We all got on a passenger train and rode to Westfield. Buses come and met us and took us home. So all of us kids been 61, I guess, got to ride a passenger train. So that was, and we had big Christmas programs at the school and then at the church also. It was a big community, really, and it was a good time. In '60, my dad got killed in a car wreck. Well, things all changed. That was also the year that we had to go to Siloam to school. 5th grade was not good for me. Dr. Shaw, I had tonsillitis every 2 weeks. Dr. Shaw said if you hadn't been born with tonsils, you wouldn't need them. So I was sick all through the 5th grade. My dad had been killed, and I had 30 people instead of 3 in my class. So 5th grade was horrible. But I made it through and have some friends from that time, but mostly the 3 friends that I went all the way to school with. Not a lot of people can say that anymore. Just like before, people didn't stay in one place from year to year. They had to move. So I've had a good life around here at Cincinnati. In '70, 5, all the other kids out of our class seemed like they got married right after they got out of school, you know. Well, not me. I married Rita Lawrence in 1975, I think that's right. After I'd moved to, I actually lived in Bella Vista for a little while. And we were the only two that weren't married, so we just kind of got married and moved to Bentonville and Rogers. We have had 2 children, have 2 children. Megan, she was a bicentennial baby, 1976. And then, like the former person, both of our kids were born in March. 2 years and 11 days apart. So it still holds true in this generation, I guess. My son is Jonathan Randolph, and they still both live around this area, and we do see them from time to time. We moved back here to Cincinnati. I worked in restaurants, different ones in Bentonville and Rogers. I ended up at Walmart when it started getting big. Run corporate cafeterias in Walmart for 13 years, I think. After Mr. Sam died, it kind of went downhill, just like everything else does. And I had a heart attack, and I thought, this place ain't worth a heart attack for me. I made the decision one Halloween day that I didn't turn in my resignation. I just took a sick leave. I'd had a heart attack and played the system, and then went home and told Rita I'd quit. But before that, my mother passed away, and here we were with the farm down here, Glenita and I, and we had already taken care of everything before that, so we thought, or maybe I thought, since the kids had always gone to school in Rogers, that's probably where they ought to graduate. I mean, that's what I did, you know. I came home one day from work when Megan was going to be a senior, and Rita said, we're moving to Cincinnati. The kids want to go to school at Lincoln. And I thought, God, what are you thinking, you know? So we up and sold our house and moved to Cincinnati. The kids graduated from Lincoln, Jonathan just barely, but they got them through. So here we are in Cincinnati. Some of our neighbors when I was young, I mean, we didn't have that many neighbors. I didn't play with kids, there weren't that many. People named McCarvers lived there when I was, the first I could remember. May and Jimmy Cluck lived there when my mother and dad got married in 1939, so they were more like godparents to me, you know, because I think they kind of helped Mother survive getting married and moving away. That was all the neighbors. We had some across, their name was Riley's, and I would run off and go to the Riley's house. They'd go to looking for me, and that had to be where I was, you know, so, and this is when I was 4 and 5 years old. I'd just take off and go to Faye's house. Then my world changed again. Faye moved. And who ends up being our next door neighbor? My first sister, second sister, Diane moves, the Clarks moved there, so I took up with Mary Clark then, so older people were my play pals, I guess, you know. But we had, like I told you, my mother had different things with the MYF, and she would take 2 to 15 people to the movies. Maybe Westfield, maybe Siloam. One time we went to Fayetteville to the Ozark Theater to see one of the big biblical movies. I don't remember just which one it was. But can you imagine taking 15 kids now to see a movie? I don't think so. Cincinnati was pretty close, as long as we had the school, and then it just drifted away. With the church, they always had a fifth Sunday dinner, and that was always, I think, the Sunday you had communion too. It seems like. But anyway, had fifth Sunday dinner at the old Lodge Hall at Cincinnati, and you know, it seemed like a big building, but it's not now. But everybody, some of the people, you know, you always knew who was going to bring this and who was going to bring that. And of course, it was all good food. And we had one little old lady, and she always brought a loaf of bread. And anybody that knows will know who she was. She always stuck it back so it wouldn't get used. So she'd have to take it home with her, along with a big plate for her husband. And that was always the big joke. And I don't know when that quit. Seemed like it kind of quit too, but I don't know the reason. Didn't pay that much attention. We didn't have any place to hang out. And as you can tell, I didn't date. I just waited until there wasn't anybody else left around.
So what did you like to do then as a kid or a young
We
teenager?
We went to MRIF, and after it was over, we'd walk to the graveyard.
Mm-hmm. Play in the graveyard?
Well, we didn't play, we just walked, you know. And, you know, we didn't go to turn tombstones over, I mean, that would have never entered our mind. We just walked, or I guess most of us walked. I didn't serve in the military. When I got out of high school, of course that was in '68, you either went to school or you went to Vietnam, one of the two. That's just about the way it was. Well, I went to school for 6 months at the University of Arkansas, and I thought, why in the world am I with this bunch? The only thing I liked about it was the ag programs. So I just quit. And of course, you know what happened then. So I went to Little Rock in probably January of, I don't think it was, it'd been 70, I guess. And I had to put chains on the truck to get up there. And cold, and I'd been sick, and I was taking all this newfangled cold medicine, you know. Went to Little Rock, freeze to death. I went through the line 3 times, but my blood pressure was too high. And when I got there, the 3rd time, the guy, a big, fat Navy guy, was the one that told you to go to this door or this door. And he told me I was too GD, fat, and my blood pressure was too high. Go home and lose weight. And I said, do you think I'm crazy? And that's all I ever heard from him. And the biggest joke of that deal was this guy, he had a stack of x-rays this tall, trying to get out of everything that, you know, I mean, literally trying to get out. And they just took his x-rays and pretty much pissed him aside. They didn't have him, you know, they didn't care about that. The poor boy got to come home because he had flat feet, you know. So that was my military deal. Had some close friends that died in Vietnam, and that, you know, that really bothers you. So that was it. I'm not retired. I worked for Walmart was the last pretty much real job I had. And I come home and we were already building chicken houses when I worked for Walmart, because the writing was on the wall. I just found the right time. So I come home and we built chicken houses. And then, you figure out, well, I got some extra time here. So I thought, I had driven a school bus in the 70s, early 70s. And even when I lived in Rogers, I drove a school bus. Mostly just half days. So having a heart attack, I went to visit the guy at the bus garage that I'd driven with before. And he said, "You come to apply for a bus driver job? Your old route's open." And I said, "Well, I've had a heart attack." He said, "Oh, that don't mean anything." So Shirley's brother, school was starting, and he drove for me the first 3 days until I got my regular license. Well, I actually did retire from driving a school bus. I know that's a sad situation, but I made it. I had a lot of good times on the school bus until the last few years, and it just got, yeah, you agree with me, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
But I make as much now from my school bus retirement as I ever made driving it. So the joke's on them. Activities, about all I'm really involved in is, they were building a new fire department here, and a certain person in this room was kind of involved with that. And I thought, well, I'll go down there and help them poor old boys. I'd pick up trash and stuff, and after we got it built, I decided, well, I'll just join the fire department. So I got involved with that, and that I've enjoyed it. It wasn't too enjoyable for a couple of years when the fire station blew away, but it's all turned out okay. So what time I'm not in the hospital, I go carry other people to the hospital. But I bought a '66 Chevrolet pickup, brand new. All the other vehicles my dad had bought, would have been probably 65 when we bought it. There wasn't any souped up trucks back then. Sometimes you could get a V8 motor, but it was pretty nice. Paid $1,900 for it. But so they throwed in a bumper, and I paid $50 for a radio. So that was my cool car until later on. Oh yeah, we baled hay. I hauled some hay, but I found out it's easier to bale it than it was to haul it. What's that? I haven't had any real bad accidents, fortunately. Seen some, but not.
Did you ever ride on truck?
Fender?
Hay bales and stuff like that?
On the fenders, when had the blinkers on the fenders, that was the best plane, but I never fell off, I don't think. It was the Bear Boys that always fell off of the road. Usually fighting one another. But, my dad, I don't remember us having any horses until about 54, 55, and my dad got interested in quarter horses. And we had lots of horses. Before that, we had lots of dogs. There was wolves back then, and they called it fox hunting, but they were hunting wolves when I was growing up. And of course, he got killed in '61, and we had a lot more horses than Mama really knew. People started bringing them home. Same with dogs, but I never was raised up with them, so I didn't have anything to do with them, And I could do stuff with them if they needed to be done with, but I didn't I didn't take that as my life's ambition.
How long have you been on the fire department?
I don't remember.
Long
When,
time.
when was the new building built? You don't remember either?
Just a long time.
When was it?
It was
blew away.
2000 and
But it blew away.
blew away in 10,
10.
and it was just there like 3 years, of, wasn't it?
Yep.
So about that long. We've got some good guys on the fire department now. We've got, on our fire department, we've got an assistant fire chief from another town. We've got an assistant fire marshal from another town. We've got 3 paramedics from another town. So we're pretty lucky with certain days.
Is there anything that we've left out that you want to talk about?
I probably ought to just keep my mouth off shut on some of that.
And is there something that
Believe it or not, I do have a conscience.
and is there anything that you want future generations or anything to know?
I
Whether
think
it's
they
about
already know
Cincinnati.
more than we'll ever know.
Okay. And is there anything that's been said that you would like not to be published?
I don't know. No, I don't think so. Pretty much what I've said, everybody knows anyway. If they didn't know, they know it now.